Frank in Dallas.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hi.
Hey. Oh man, it's so funny watching the live stream when there's like a delay and you're talking with
Yeah,
Jen
don't do
voice
that.
And,
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty funny. Anyway, I was wanting to challenge you guys a little bit on the way that you define faith and the way that you present that when callers bring it up. Because usually, and I mean every host is different of course, but usually, you know, the basic definition is faith is belief without evidence or on bad evidence. So like, would you two personally like agree with that or use that tactic or whatever?
I would agree with that, with the caveat that words have multiple definitions, and you have to be clear in advance about which one you're talking about. Because I mean, faith could be just as much I mean, you could say faith like I have faith that I will pass the exam because I've studied a lot, which is which is really defined as confidence based on information that you actually have. But when people talk about religious faith, they're often referring to what the Bible says. Hebrews 11:1 says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Basically saying believe in stuff that you hope is true without any tangible information.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's cool. And I mean, I basically agree with your definition, and but I'm having a brain fart. I'm sorry. Okay, like I'm not going to try to conflate faith with trust or anything like that. It's hard with this delay. I'm going to just stop listening to myself. Basically, I would think it would be better, because when you define faith like in those specific words, like bad evidence or no evidence, then the theist has this knee-jerk reaction. And, I mean, because faith is such a central, you know, virtue in their lives.
Yes.
So I think it would be better and more effective to define it as, you know, trust or belief based on a certain type of evidence, and then get into, you know, specifically the types of evidence that theists usually invoke to justify their faith. Like,
well, but what they consider evidence isn't really what most people, like any kind of scientific or legal definition of evidence.
Yeah, I mean, the evidence that I mean, if you've watched the show a lot, you've noticed that there are people who call us and tell us that their evidence is that they feel this is true. They really feel it, and they hope that this is true. And so, I mean, are we supposed to call that evidence?
Right, no, I totally agree that that is a bad way to go about building your worldview.
Yeah.
But I think that those small types of kind of non-evidences or whatever can be utilized in certain areas is simply because there's so many things to critically think about. I mean, like, for example, you know, the decision to almost unconsciously, like, scratch a mosquito bite or something. Like, that's not something I critically thought about before I did it. I don't have good reasons to do it. If I was to look into it, then I would probably, like, make a decision to stop making that action. But,
okay, but I mean, so what? People are sometimes also wrong in their decisions, and the real question is, how do you distinguish between a belief that's justified and a belief that's just things hoped for?
Yeah.
Well, right. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you in the larger scale. I mean, I just think if we can, because, you know, theists are always trying to do the thing of, well, atheists have faith too, and that kind of thing. But
and I love to have that conversation with them.
Yeah. Definitely.
So great. Let's have that conversation.
Right, but I'm just saying, I think that, you know, you could concede a little ground and say that, yeah, there are certain things that those small types of evidence can inform us about, but that we shouldn't base, you know, large worldviews on that, and these are the reasons.
Why should I concede anything on that? They're wrong.
Well, right. I mean, just kind of for the sake of, not to not ruffle feathers, but just to be as effective, to not get them to have that knee-jerk reaction.
What makes you think that the approach that you're describing would be more effective?
Do you have evidence for that?
I mean, just because when you start off with saying, faith is no evidence or bad evidence, then, automatically they retract in their defensive.
No. I'm just going to quote Hebrews 11:1. It tells them right there that's what it is.
Right,
I think that the question, because we basically agree on what the nature of the reality is, and what you're concerned about mainly is effective ways to approach people so that they're open to having their opinions changed. And I feel like coming up with the best possible approach is largely a matter of practice and testing things out and seeing what works. And in my experience, being kind of direct and blunt about this is a good approach. But I mean, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't go ahead and try to talk to Christians and see what conceding this ground gets you. I just personally don't feel like it will be more effective.
Okay, that's cool. And I mean, you guys are totally the experts. Like, this is, like the most minor quibble. I love you guys, and I think you do an awesome job. But I don't know, sometimes just personally, and of course things are different when you're dealing with callers versus when you're dealing with people in real life. You'd be probably more gentle and that kind of thing. But anyway, I just want to throw that out there. So.
All right. Thanks.
And hey, real quick.
Yes.
You guys should totally do a show about, like, internet atheists and, like, ratheism and stuff, and wear fedoras the whole time and, like, grow out your neck beards. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be totally awesome. We
well,
will take that under advisement.
All right, thanks, Lemon.
Okay, bye.